M Mountain has a big M on it, right? Or what
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
is it true that they're going to change it to N when kids at Tech learn the next letter in the alphabet? All right, welcome everyone to, I guess this is the fourth episode of Special Sesh. I'm Andy Lyman here with Matt Kennicott. We're doing another remote recording, I guess. Remote. We're not doing a remote. We're not at the local car dealership.
No car dealerships here. I believe in direct to consumer.
Yeah, that's why you're. Yeah, I drive by that Tesla dealership at least once a week.
Nice.
Going out to the Bernalillo soccer complex. But
Very nice.
yeah, yeah, I remember when that whole thing came up in the ledger. Well, that wasn't even on that. We'll put that for another list because I should do some more research on before I start running my mouth about direct to consumer car sales. Yeah, so I guess right out the gate, I'm pissed, Matt. we we've
You should be.
I've been struggling with so for folks that maybe don't know, we have what we call a secret sesh, which we set up specifically off the beaten path as much as we can, but also easy to find, so that folks can we're not going to promote illegal substances here on the special sesh, but we have the secret sesh where a little bit more weed talk, a little bit more weed use. And anyway, YouTube didn't like the last one that we put up. So I have been battling and just, I was going to say pulling my hair out, but obviously.
Chin hairs.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, I got a text from a friend who asked me how I found somebody to do streams with, or do videos with, that looks exactly like me.
It's just the bearded white guys club. There's a bunch of us out there. You
Yeah.
just gotta look.
And then and then when you get to a certain age, then it starts getting the white. And for some reason, it's always the same pattern, right? Like,
Hmm. Yep. Mine started with streaks in my hair on the sides, and then gradually came down here and exploded when Veronica and I got together.
oh yeah, see, that's the joke in my family, is that around the time I was married and a year later started having kids is when I started losing my hair and going gray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. We all know how that goes.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything to my wife, so I'm so perfect that I don't, no gray hairs for her.
We all are, Andy. We all
No,
are. That's
no
just how
mental
it
health
is.
issues. No.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So YouTube took it down, which was very frustrating. And I realized that this censorship is out there, especially for cannabis. And I knew it's always been a thing, right? Because as you and I talked in the secret sesh that we just did, is that any cannabis related accounts are on like 3, 4, 15, they've had to.
Exactly.
So I knew it was out there, but I was convinced that if I make a YouTube video that is essentially unsearchable, you have to have a link, it's unlisted, that we sort of have a little bit more free range, but apparently not. So it was also really disappointing because, yes, while it could be seen that we were promoting illegal activities by talking about, or the sales of illegal substances, that's where I'm getting confused. I think it was because well, I don't even know if I should say it, but but we were educating folks too.
Yeah.
That particular episode, we did a huge long talk about having important conversations with your kids and locking up your cannabis and being responsible weed smokers. Like, I think that's a big part of it, is the locking it up, but also it's a two-part thing, right?
It's education too.
Having those conversations with your kids. And
Well, part of the plan too is to eventually partner up with the public education department and see what kind of materials we might be able to get brought home from the kids with, conversation starters and how parents should talk to their children about this.
And we also dropped a link for educational materials too. So
Hmm.
I realize that it's it's not like a person; it's a robot. It's an algorithm that you know. Uh,
Yeah, but there's people that make the rules behind what the robots do, and they're the ones that are. It's not the robot to blame. It's that's just doing its job. It's the people behind it.
yeah,
And when you have content policies where if your content is meant for 21 plus, which is an easy thing to check when you're creating or setting up a channel or even just a stream, we do it all the time. I do it with our monthly meetings. It's content not meant for kids. So you already have those automatic filters built in. So why penalize people who are following the rules that you set up to follow and then claim that they're breaking those rules? These online platforms, social media, YouTube, which is the biggest search engine in the world, and others constantly, I think, step on our First Amendment rights. Granted, we're using their platforms, and part of it is we agree to their terms of use, but at the same time, the internet was a used to be a place that was one of the last truly free places in the world, and now it's become one of the most regulated places in the world. It's crazy. Our First Amendment rights get stomped on all the time. I think COVID and the Twitter files were a very good example of that.
yeah. And the one thing that my stance has not changed is I still realize that these are private companies, and so we're
Hmm.
making a choice to and actually that reminds me that of the so for folks that are trying to figure out, I think it's on Substack now. We have those Secret Sesh things, and I've been trying to figure out how to make sure that everyone gets those free subscriptions and blah 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 blah. I think what I'm going to do as soon as we hop off here, I'm just going to make it a free subscribe thing for now anyway, until we get it more figured out. But I looked at Rumble too, and what I can appreciate about Rumble is that it is definitely like I checked through their user terms, and they still have some. You can't have hate speech. You can't. There's still some regulations
Yeah.
of that. And I questioned whether at some point cannabis would creep up there. It'd be a good test to see if they would approve of that or not. But my biggest, and this is not why I didn't go with Rumble. It was more of that Rumble is hard to interface with other platforms to send it out to folks. Substack
Hmm.
seemed to be the best way to go, so that's where we are now. But with Rumble, I think and this is just a personal opinion, is that I'm in favor of them, sort of pulling out some of the stops as far as letting people say what they want to say. However, I feel like it is just purely just conservative, like it's conservative free speech, right? Like I don't see I maybe I just don't I don't see a lot of content on there that's anything other than right wing stuff. And yes, they can say
No,
whatever they want, but
it's probably more like I mean, I guess Blue Sky would be kind of the
yeah,
equivalent.
yeah, yeah,
There's not a lot of righties on there. Uh, I I like X the best myself because I'm seeing feeds and opinions from all kinds of different people all over the place. And part of it with platforms like X is how much you kind of tease your algorithm based on what you want to see. And I like seeing stuff from all kinds of different spectrums. And I don't one of the unique things about X is I don't see them really shutting down speech that they disagree with at all. If you want to see it, it's there.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's definitely
Warts,
there.
warts, warts, and all. Yeah, I think
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped looking at X or Twitter. I think maybe when it first changed to X, and it had really nothing to do with Musk taking it over or anything like that. It was just I was already sort of on the verge of like this place is already a little bit of a dumpster fire. And again, it's my algorithm, right? Like
Oh yeah.
it was after years of watching going through political posts and New Mexico legislative stuff, like you just it became this like didn't make me feel good. So I just I still pop on there every once in a while, but you can see that my absence has changed the algorithm where like it's not as the variety is not there. And
Yeah.
it's because that I may only like look at one or two posts or profiles when I am on X.
hmm Yeah, it honestly it's still kind of a dumpster fire, but I'll go on for maybe 15, 20 minutes at a time and kind of scroll through and look and see what's going on and then hop off because I've gotten to the point where I can't read the news like that much that anymore. It's just everything is so devastating these days and just crazy. So it's I think it's a good tool. I definitely don't want to be like a lot of those people on there that spend their full days on it. And developing their algorithms, how they develop them. There's too much real life to live, and there's too much other censorship we have to worry about too. It's just it's happening daily and everywhere now, and we all need to be very vigilant of this stuff that's happening.
Remember there was a heyday, the salad days of Twitter and New Mexico politics, right? And I think that, like you and I are in that Venn diagram of like being involved in local politics at the same time, or
hmm
covering local politics in my case, and then also like this newness of Twitter at the time, where it was like,
Oh yeah,
just everyone's like, what hashtag are we using for this? There was like this concerted effort to like have this conversation even when people like were really fucking nasty to each other. There was
oh yeah, it
there
was
was some
bad.
like some repeat offenders, I guess, on local NM poll Twitter,
hmm
but it was still like it was this great thing where like you could really I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You could really there was an involvement there. You could everyone was posting on there. You could learn so much about what was happening.
There's a lot of community to it, honestly.
Yeah.
As odd as that might sound, is just a lot of community to it. And you could have, have almost real-time policy discussions as things were happening in the legislature. That was, to me, one of the coolest things. I was working for the Martinez administration at the time, I remember, and I was sitting a couple rows back in I want to say it was a Senate Health Committee or something like that. And Senator at the time, Jacob Candelaria, was tweeting things out. And as the PIO of the Human Services the Department at the time, I was tweeting back to him corrections in real time. And
Right.
we were debating on the bill in the committee. It was, that kind of stuff happened all the time. It was pretty cool. And it's kind of lost now. I don't
Yeah, I
see
think
much of that conversation going on anymore.
it was that time when like live video streaming wasn't really what it is now.
hmm
You know, even in some there were some committee rooms then that had the cameras built in, but for the most part it was the governor's office that was
Yep.
sending an intern to post up and set up a little camcorder in the back.
hmm
And then the floor sessions, it was like a stationary camera. It was like again, it was a camera that was already built in that wasn't meant for that. All that's to say is that it was a way for you could almost watch it real time, but like in a text format, right? Almost
Yeah.
numerous people would be live tweeting a hearing about something, or like here's the bill, or there's a bunch of people outside reporting through Twitter,
Yep.
basically.
And you could get a bunch of different takes that way too, which is
Yeah.
part of why I liked it so much. Now it's here's the stream and you just kind of see what's going on, which is great. And that's exactly what we need in our form of government. But there's just a depth to it that used to be there that's missing now. I think it's kind of a shame. And thinking back to those days too is like, man, it was like pulling teeth to get Janice Arnold Jones to be able to take a camera with her up on the dais in a committee, in one single committee, and we ended up just loading her up with a webcam, and she sat up there, and the chairman ended up not doing anything. That just kind of built on that, and the Senate is really where it got to be kind of hairy with the webcasting because they resisted it for so stinking long. It was just as the Senate does with things that require great change.
Yeah, that was sort of the the end of the old boys club. That was like, I
Yep.
mean, the Patron system was technically sort of done, but there was some carryovers there. There was
Yeah.
Notable one, Phil Griego, Senator Phil Griego, who went to prison for essentially using his job as a senator to help his personal business. Right? Everyone can
Yep.
go look it up. It's a longer story than that, but um, his it wasn't really his defense, but his sort of demeanor while he was going through that was sort of like he's like he didn't understand. He's like, this is that
Yeah.
we always did it this way. Like
It's the way
everyone did
business
this.
had been
Yeah.
done. Yep. Generations. That's just how it is. There's no corruption tag or anything put on it. It's the way.
I
It's
was
not the right way, but it was the way.
I was telling you earlier in the when we did the secret sesh that um, the sign that I would have some fuck you money is that I would have someone driving me around everywhere. The other sign would be that I would just dump a bunch of money into this like locals. I feel like we need like a local C-SPAN sort of thing, right? Where
Yeah.
you couldn't have content all the time, right? It would have to be sort of wrapped around the legislative session. But to your point of having some context, right? So you can just you can drop in on a hearing and or even a floor session and hear them debating something. It'll have the bill number, but you got to go look it up, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck they're arguing about. Like, I have zero context about what this amendment is.
Yeah, it would be wonderful if the legislature adopted some of the technology that's out there where you can actually interact with what they're seeing
Yeah.
and working on. I mean, it's out there. Other governments do it, but New Mexico always lacks on those things. It's befuddling to me, especially when we have such an open records act. You would think that the rest of the policy making would follow as well, but it doesn't.
Uh, I was. This is actually great. I have not read this story yet, but speaking of policy, uh, I still need to read up on this. But you were telling me, so I brought it up. I guess the gubernatorial candidates are bringing out the old CYFD wagon, right? The department,
Yeah.
the department that I would love to. We need to get Gary Johnson on sometime. I want to go back, to the prior to Richardson and
Hmm.
hear what some of these former governors have to say about CYFD. Like, how was it then? Uh, I mean, because as far as like the entire time I've paid attention to local government, it's been a shit show. CYFD.
Always. I remember back in 2007, I think it was, Lucky Varela during a House Appropriations Committee meeting talking about CYFD and how the social workers were incredibly underpaid and CYFD was understaffed and they had all these issues. It was 2007. We're we're in 2026 today. That's and we're still talking about the exact same issues.
Yeah.
How CYFD is understaffed, how they're underpaid, and how they face all these issues. I remember when I was in the Martinez administration, one of my really good friends was the general counsel over at CYFD, and he had to deal with that really horrific baby case in Albuquerque. I
Oh,
apologize, I can't remember the name.
was it
Was it
Victoria
Victoria
Martins? Yeah.
Martins?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the leads on that, and that after that he was done at CYFD. A lot of people were. Uh, if they actually made reforms at that agency like they need to, and really decided to put some real attention in there, we probably wouldn't be having a lot of those problems. Instead, we're seeing things like universal child care for free. And, we're getting to the point where I think most of our pre-K is going to be close to that too. Really, we need to take some of these resources that I think that they're putting towards those types of things and redivert them towards CYFD efforts, reform the agency. I don't even, as a policy person, I don't even know what the right answer is for CYFD. That's just it's such a difficult, tough agency to tackle their issues because a lot of times you're dealing with the worst of the worst. It's children, you're separating families, and it's the government coming in and doing it. It's like there's a need for what they do, but how do you make it so things aren't as bad as they are? I really don't know what the answer is to all this.
Yeah. Well, I'll go on record saying I'm a fan of, in general, free child care, especially as sort of a product of that. And that's just how I see it. But I also feel like we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? Like we should be able to. I think we can dial in some of these services to folks who need it, especially one of the poorest states in the country. At the same time, shore up the protections of kids that are, in danger. And I feel like I see the pendulum swing back and forth, back and forth. I mean, that Victoria Martin's case was horrific. No doubt about that. And what it did is it created this sort of knee jerk reaction amongst the rank and file at CYFD. I wrote about this. There was a
Hmm.
a guy who, uh, not that it matters, but it gives context for me. I don't think I put this in the story, but they're a Mormon family, very very religious, nicest family in the world. They went on a Disney trip, and then I think their daughter also had some illnesses, and she stayed home. Mom stays at home with one of the kids. The other kids go to school, and CYFD simultaneously pulled this kid out of school because basically what had happened is their reaction to the Victoria Martin's case, which shouldn't have ever happened. They said, okay, now we have to start check, because one of the big things was like, how did they let her absences go? Right, this poor
Hmm.
girl missed so much school, and it never raised any alarms. Nobody ever did anything, and so they were like, okay, the answer is that we're gonna go after, not go after, but if you have 10 absences, whether they're excused or not, you you have to alert. And so basically,
Yeah.
CYFT gave this training to all the school counselors, and so this Albuquerque school counselor was like, "Hey, there's all these absences. I got to report it, right?" And instead of being like, "Let's talk to this kid and we know the teachers, we know
Yeah.
this kid," instead they went. CYFD showed up to the house where the mom was with the baby, also pulled the kid out and sort of interrogated everybody, and everything was fine, right? Like they ultimately came out a lot better than other people who become in the system.
Hmm.
But the thing that shocked them was that they said, CYFD said, "Yeah, well, you do have a file now, right? Like we've written in there that it's not substantiated, but we have to keep a file on everything that we investigate." And you're like, wonderful, you know?
Which is outrageous.
Yeah,
Family doesn't do anything wrong. They come in and get investigated by a government agency through no fault of their own, and then they're cleared. And then the government agency basically says, "Fuck you. We've got records on you for the rest of your life, so you better keep a clean nose. Otherwise, we're going to use this against you however we can." And
yeah,
that's exactly what they do. It's there. Part of my big problem with government is there is absolutely zero common sense from top down and from bottom up, none. It's always here's what the rule is, here's what the regulation is. We have to do this, have to follow it no matter what. And there's never any really bending uh or I, not lifting because you can't lift them necessarily, but common sense has got to prevail in a lot of this stuff. If you're the school counselor, why not just pick up the damn phone, like you
yeah,
said, talk to the kid, talk to the family? Pretty easy, I think. I
yeah,
remember when I was a kid, probably similar to when you were growing up too. If you missed school even for a couple of days, usually your teacher would call home or the principal would call to see what the hell was going on. And we've lost a lot of that common sense, and not just common sense, but just the ability to reach out to people and talk to them. There's the
I know.
communication is gone.
In high school, a lot more teachers would have talked to my parents had I not gotten home first and erased the message from the answering machine.
Yeah, I mean there was that too, but
I was older then. I wasn't,
oh yeah.
yeah. And then on top of the candidates coming out here, like, I'm reminded going through the headlines again on CYFT that it's also now a battle, sort of battle. I don't, that may be a strong word, but between the Attorney General Raul Torres and Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham over, like, I think he had some not so great findings on CYFD, and the governor is like, no, your findings are bullshit. Everything's fixed.
Yeah, I don't know that I believe either side. I'm sure the truth is like always found somewhere in the middle there. Just knowing what I know about CYFD, I personally I think it's the most difficult agency in all of state government to run. And that's saying a lot when you've got a place like Human Services that not only does Medicaid and SNAP, but also has child support enforcement or DOH when they've got all this public health stuff that they have to do. Like, there are a lot of heavy topics that a lot of people take care of in state government, but I think CYFD is probably the most difficult agency to run and make run correctly, especially when you have some of the problems that we do in New Mexico. We see a lot of stuff here that a lot of other places don't face. Yes, we are a very poor state too. We shouldn't be. We've got some of the largest reserves in the entire country out of any state, and we produce a literally a shit ton of oil and gas, but we just haven't been able to figure out the secret sauce here for whatever reason.
I will point out that gubernatorial candidate Duke Rodriguez would say, "We're not a poor state; we're a poorly run state."
He's right. I think he's right. You know, Jeff Apodaca back when he was running in the primary against Michelle, our current governor, would talk about different ways to put our reserves to use, which make total sense. That money's not just there to sit, and it's not necessarily just to spend on programs either. It's to be invested in the people of the state. And I think one of the ways you can do that is to help put that money to use to attract new businesses that we need. We're sorely hurting uh, economically here, and we need more opportunity. I think if you develop that, you develop education a little bit better, which, by the way, we've like 53% of the entire state budget already goes to education. Doesn't need more money, just needs to be cleaned up. If you clean a lot of this stuff up, CYFD's job would be a lot easier too, because you don't have a lot of the generational poverty issues and uh, likely drug use issues and that type of stuff that currently happens.
Do you think, from sort of an insider's perspective, do you think if like pulling out some of these other divisions would do any good or harm or difference? Like if because I always forget CYFD also has the juvenile justice, right? They have uh, protection and juvenile justice essentially are like the two
Hmm.
main components, and those are like almost two different departments, or like I mean, I realize that they're both take. I like that juvenile justice is within CYFD and not corrections. That
Yeah.
I don't think it should be moved that way. But I wonder sometimes if there's just too much to, or maybe there needs to be another like a dual run program. I mean, like a dual headed, like I don't know. I just feel like that it's got to be like outside of like tax and rev or something, like one of the biggest wide reaching departments.
Yeah, it really is because literally it's children, youth, and that in families. That's literally
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah.
Plus, they've got pre-K programs. I think they now get a chunk of the free daycare stuff. So their mission is constantly building instead of focusing in on certain things. I don't know if it would help taking juvenile justice out or not. I'm not sure there's really any other place that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
you you said it, corrections. I'm really glad it's not there in corrections because juveniles need more need more attention and loving care
Right.
to rehabilitate instead of being thrown into prison unless it's something totally heinous. And
I mean, in a
we know.
perfect world, all detention centers would be actual like a place where people can rehabilitate, right?
You would hope. I mean, that's depends on your definition of
Yeah,
rehabilitation in
yeah,
cases too, you know. Um, but yeah, I just I don't know where it would make sense to put juvenile justice. It kind of does make sense though, because my guess is a lot of times they're actually seeing, and I would want to look at this. They might be actually seeing a pipeline from one part of the CYFD system into the next just because of how things are going in this state. It's sad to say that, but my gut tells me that's probably true, and it would make sense to have the same people kind of dealing with the same people, if you will.
yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I guess because my first question to you was going was going to be like, I knew what you were going to say because I'm like, how much you love bureaucracy, but I'm like, should it be its own department, right? But that goes back to another funding issue of, throwing more money at a brand new department. Does that do anything, other than
I,
spend more
I
money?
I don't think it does. We've had the Federal Department of Public Education for what 40 plus years now, and look at the state of education in the United States. It hasn't done jack shit to help with education. Um, Honestly, same thing here in New Mexico. We've got the higher education department, and yet we've got students that are fed in from our public education pipeline that really can't even read at a remedial level a lot of times. So college is being used the first couple of years to retrain. So do any of these extra departments really help? Not here, not from what I've seen. We got probably what 30 some odd state cabinet level agencies now. It's crazy how much government we have and how little results we see for it.
Um, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at.
You're all right.
Um, I should have been more prepared for this one. I guess, but also my eyes glaze over anytime not even this run for governor, just any gubernatorial candidate that says here's how I would fix fill in the blank, right? Let alone CYFD. So I'm kind of like, what grand plan can anybody have to? I don't know. I mean,
I,
uh,
I I don't know. I think anyone who says they have the magic bullet to fix CYFD doesn't they don't fully understand the issues happening there because I don't think there is a magic bullet. It will take years to set things right. I think a lot of it is societal stuff too, and government does not fix societal things. Um, it's not the role of government, and that's certainly not what it's good at. Um, so there's got to be some pressures put on elsewhere too, ranging from education to our justice system to really a lot of things to help improve conditions overall for New Mexicans. I, it's like I said before, I don't really know what the right answer is, and anybody who claims they do is not somebody that I want to really listen to on it. I'd rather have people that say, let's sit down and try and figure this out together instead of saying I've got the one solution.
yeah, yeah. What just popped into my head was I almost forgot his name, but it was Brian Blaylock, who was the first CYFD secretary under the current governor, um, and how kind of disappointing it was that like he came in. He's this sort of like this bearded guy from San Francisco. Sort of, I think he might have been a social worker in a previous career or something, and
Hmm.
um, seemed like he was really like he maybe had some answers. He was like it's a systematic change that needs to happen, and like kind of what you're saying is like there's no magic bullet.
Hmm.
And then a bunch of other stuff started to fall apart. Like that what really disappointed me was finding out that they were using Signal before it was cool.
Yeah, that kind of stuff seems to happen with every administration.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
like your former boss, Susana Martinez, I think maybe it wasn't her, somebody in the administration. It might have been Keith or somebody that was like, there was an email that was like, stop emailing stuff, just make a
Pretty
phone call,
much.
like,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
and
It
look,
happens.
I laugh about it because it's it's what everybody does. I'm not stupid. I know that I can do a public records request and I'm going to get some cryptic emails that don't have the actual information or redacted information or uh,
Hmm.
like per our meeting today, and then just like a little blurb, but like oh,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
whole meeting that I don't know about.
Yeah, 100%. That's just how it works. It's all right though. I don't know. Look. I know these gubernatorial candidates have to come out with answers because that's what we end up electing them on, and they need the sound bites and stuff. But I really, I usually like to wait to see what kind of meat they put on those bones instead of their just their talking points. A lot of times they won't either. They won't. they'll pick certain issues to build out and make an actual argument on. CYFD seems to be one of those where they find the right soundbite for it, and there's never any real solutions put forward.
Yeah, who was it? Trump that I forget what it was, but there was the plan. I think man, I can't remember if it was his first term or second term when he ran for it, but like it probably happened more than once where people were like, "Give us specifics." He was like, "I'm not going to tell you specifics because then
Oh,
somebody else is going to copy me."
it was the healthcare
Yeah,
question. I think it came up in one of the debates, and I'm pretty sure the question was something like, "What's your plan for summarizing it? What's your plan for Obamacare?" We have the outlines of a plan. We don't have a full plan. Okay, well, in that case, he had already had 4 plus 4 years to think about it and actually put a plan together. A
but
lot of people already had other plans for it too, so just
Trump
steal one of theirs.
Trump always says the quiet part out loud, right? But I mean the
Yeah,
quiet part loud, not out. But so he did that. But I'm just like he's done a lot of bringing stuff to the surface, especially with how his disdain for the press. And I'm like, every executive that I've covered uh, has had some sort of level of just. They usually say in public like, "Oh, I support the press and I support a free press," but I know how they really feel. Like we all know how they really feel,
yeah,
and Trump just says that part out loud. But every candidate that runs for governor, and this is not any like I'm including but also excluding people running right now, right? This is just a forever thing that the
hmm
plans are always vague enough to not give anything away or to not be criticized and picked apart. So you almost the surprise. I have a cynical view on politics here, but they you won't know what it is until they're elected. It's the
truly.
it's the Affordable Care Act. Like read it, sign it, and we'll tell you what's in it.
That's the way it's gotten these days. I don't think it used to be so bad. Susanna's first campaign, I literally had binders this thick full of policies that we had written for her over the course of probably 7 months that we did, and I had 15 or 20 of those at the end of the campaign, just chock full of all of her policy stuff. It was meant to be her kind of her guide, and we released large chunks of it on the website, but really after I feel like nationally after 2010 that kind of stuff really ended and we started relying more on the quick hits and the little pieces, the like you said, just vague enough to get by and not really having to put a lot together on paper to prove your chops.
Or
It's a really
sometimes
weird concept.
maybe worded in a way that's not easy to understand either. Not
That
not that
too.
it's big words, but it's more on this towards the word salad sort of thing. Put
Oh
some
yeah.
buzzwords in there, and um, you know, sort of the old
hmm
joke. I think Family Guy did it, where it was like, just say 9/11, and people will cheer.
it's true. And that's exactly how it is. Watch a bunch of rally speeches by presidential candidates. They've all got their buzzes where people just cheer at random shit. So it's there. It's that's not a lie. That's the truth. It's
Um,
crazy business.
make sure I got this mic. Sometimes got to hit it just right. um,
You're good.
I think other people would disagree that I'm with that statement, Matt. I'm not good. Um, uh, Data centers was another one that I mean we could go on and on about gubernatorial. We probably
Ooh,
will go on about gubernatorial candidates, and actually data centers are probably going to come up any
I
time
hope
now
they
for
do.
some of these things. I If there's anything that gives me cognitive dissonance these days, it is AI and the bubble that we're in and the usefulness of it. Like I'm fully embracing, not fully because I'm too lazy to go like actually do the real work and learn how to write prompts properly and understand how AI works. Really, I think that's what we need to do as a
Yeah.
society is understand it completely 100% and be in control of it before it gets out of control.
hmm
I also, at the same time, am worried about what sort of revenue stream there's going to be from AI, other than people paying to use it. Um, and then on top of that, the data centers that are, presumably going to be a water suck. And I think, again, going back to the word salads and jargony buzzwords, there's a lot of promises of how this won't be water heavy. At
Yeah.
least the data centers that they're proposing. Because you were telling me before we started recording, and I just pulled it up. Shout out to the El Defensor Chieftain.
Yes.
Covered this that there's many concerns in Socorro about a data center going in, I guess, the county.
hmm So, well, that's part of what we don't know yet. I'll preface this by saying I'm trying to learn as much about AI as I possibly can. I use it as a tool from time to time because it is helpful. But I'm like you, Andy. We need to get ahead of this thing and harness it and control it before it controls us.
Yeah.
Part of me is really afraid that we're past that point already. We just don't know it. I think AI is probably leaps and bounds ahead of where it really is, and we're just getting kind of the public version now, where it's been used a lot longer than we've seen, going back to conspiracy theories from the from the Secret Sesh. But AI concerns me in general too because there is almost no human job that can't eventually be done by like a robot with AI built into it. Um, and so we've got issues there. That stuff aside, the data centers really concern me very deeply, especially in a place like New Mexico where we rely on the very little water that we have to sustain our cities and to sustain our agriculture, which is the largest, outside of oil and gas, the largest economic engine for the state. Here in Socorro, we've got M Mountain, which backs New Mexico Tech University. A giant chunk of the mountain and the back side of the mountain is actually owned by New Mexico Tech and Emertech, which is the basically the explosives testing that Tech
Is
does.
is M Mountain, it has a big M on it, right? Or what
Yeah,
did,
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's got that giant M on it. You can actually see it from our farm here down in the Rio Grande Valley. The M is bright and big for everyone to see. And when the high school team wins like a football game or something else, they light it up as a big W. It's really cool. Um,
is it true that they're going to change it to N when kids at Tech learn the next letter in the alphabet?
I would assume so, but those tech kids are pretty damn
Yeah,
smart.
yeah,
So
no, no. Obviously, I know it stands for I think minor because it's a
yeah,
mining school
yeah,
originally, right? Yeah,
yep, mining and technology school.
yeah.
So all of this too is still very early in very early phases. The company that came in, I want to say it's like you might have it in the news story there. Um, it's like green energy or something like that. Um, they came in and talked to the Socorro Electrical Cooperative about it at one of their meetings a couple of weeks ago. The details that they've released so far, all they're saying is that it'll be built west of Socorro and north of 60, which runs on the basically the back side of Socorro. So you go through Socorro west and then kind of wrap back around M Mountain. Well, the only place that they could put it is on the Emertech property back there that New Mexico Tech owns, and it's backed up by either a bunch of private land or some BLM land back there. So they're looking at putting it in a place that is practically empty, except for testing explosives and running cattle. And the cattle ranches back there have either been in the same families for generations and haven't been disturbed, or they're some fairly newer families that have moved in back there. But either way, none of them want this kind of thing in their backyard. It's very disturbing. So like to me the big concern about it is, well, there's several big concerns. uh oddly enough, as I age, I find myself becoming more of a quote unquote environmentalist.
Yeah.
And so, but naturally, owning a farm and being on a farm, it's hard not to be because you see the cycle of nature so much and migratory patterns of birds and when certain bugs come in and how certain crops do and what the soil's like. Like there's so many things that you're actually in touch with when you're on the land and learning about it that things like this that come up are hard to ignore. I'm concerned that they'll come in and scrape up all of the topsoil to build not just the data center, but they're claiming that they're going to run a bunch of it on solar. And they're claiming that they're going to have, I think it's 10,000 megawatts of solar, which is it's something like that. I'm terrible at numbers, so don't quote me on the numbers.
Yeah.
There was a public meeting on this with concerned citizens here in Socorro. Boy, 2 nights ago, I think it was. We were at the Capitol Bar, and there were probably about 75 people packed into the back room with more standing outside wanting to hear on this. The really cool thing about this little group that got together is you had tech people who are water experts, solar energy experts, data experts, archaeology, like lots of people from the community have all this different expertise, and they're basically saying how this project is a lot of bullshit right now. Um, they're saying they want to run it on solar, and you would need basically something the size of the city of Las Cruces to put the right size solar field in. The initial projections, depending on the size of this thing, are anywhere from 10 million to 100 million gallons of water to be used. They say it's a closed loop system, but as you cool things down, the water naturally picks up heat. The other thing that happens with the water is it has what we call forever chemicals in it. So you can't just discharge the water and expect it to be safe and clean for the environment. The water basin up there, I can't remember the name of it. It starts with an H. It's got decent water in it, but there's not enough up there to actually tap into for something like this. You would have to really look at brackish water even deeper, but according to a hydrologist that was at the meeting, he doesn't know of any brackish water that was up there. I mean, there's all kinds of compounding things that are wrong with this. I think just from an environmental perspective, from an economic perspective, yeah, it'll probably create some temporary construction jobs, but Socorro has a lack of housing, so we wouldn't be able to house anybody. So they'd probably end up in Valencia County, up in like Belen or Los Lunas, and
Well, I
just drive
think
the hour in.
it's going to be like any other data center that we have already, like the
Yeah.
Facebook data center, right? Like
Yep.
there are, what I've come to learn is that there are sort of almost forever jobs through contractors, right? Like I knew somebody who was an electrician that just sort of had a running contract for just ongoing maintenance and fixes and stuff. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of, but even then, you're not talking about these huge jobs.
No.
It doesn't require people to be on site like that. You don't need that many people to be there. And for
No.
that matter, we don't need to give a bunch of people these contract jobs that will still go away if the data center closes, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
By
Well,
the way, before I forget, I looked it up. It's Green Data is the company
green data.
that did the monorail pitch to the people of Socorro.
That's right. Oh, to me, this is one of the most absurd things that they brought up at that meeting. They were saying that they want to generate their water through the solar, meaning they want to collect atmospheric moisture. Socorro averages 15% relative humidity throughout the year. That's our fucking average.
And
I've seen it as low as 2% here. And they want to collect they claim they want to collect enough water to run this thing through atmospheric collection. First of all, it doesn't work in an arid climate like we have. Second of all, they've claimed that they've done it successfully and the technology is there, but it's very expensive and very difficult to use. The
Well, it's just
place
going
that
to
they
be
claim
it's going to be a tarp in a hole, like in one of those like survival books.
it is just the water
Yeah.
collecting and running down. The place that they claimed that it worked was Ireland. It's a friggin' island. Of
Yeah.
course it's going to work there. There's
Oh,
tons of
you mean
atmospheric water.
the widely known green island,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Emerald
The
Isle?
Emerald Isle? Yes, exactly. So there's just all kinds of bullshit that's wrong with this whole thing. They, you know, there's some folks at the co-op that are for it. There are county commissioners that are for it. They haven't seen the full proposal yet, and I will gladly say I haven't seen the full proposal yet. I want to see it before I completely step out against something like this. But data centers in general, I'm completely against the big project Jupiter that's going in down in El Paso. Granted, that's not our state, but I guarantee you my water use here in the middle Rio Grande Valley is going to be impacted by projects like that going in downstream.
Yeah.
We all have the same water. We already don't have enough to share with Texas to fully meet the compacts, and we already don't have enough to irrigate our farmland here. They're saying that these first distributions of water from MRGCD in early April are all most farms are going to get until maybe mid to late May. They're not even sure if those water deliveries will occur yet. So we've got major water issues already. We're deep in a 100-year drought, and they're just going full steam ahead with some of these projects that environmentally and resource wise don't make any sense at all.
Well, on the jobs thing, it reminds me of something you and I talked about on KKOB not that long ago about counties that are dependent on the federal detention centers, right?
Yeah.
And sort of, and I brought up there's this argument of like, well, it's kind of shitty that a whole community is that their economy is based off of a private prison, right? Like something so,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's not a bad way to look at it, but now here we are in this position to say, no, we don't want to set up a shitty, extractive, exploitative industry to basically boost our economy in this town. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, I'm one all for economic development. We need jobs, we need options to keep families in communities like Socorro because I believe rural America is still a very, very good, solid place to raise a family. But a lot of times the options for staying are too thin and people have to go. There's no choice otherwise. I also believe we can have smart economic growth that doesn't ruin our way of life, doesn't ruin our water, doesn't take our natural resources and dump it into a private company that really as a community we probably wouldn't see much of a benefit from. It's there's ways to grow that are smart that aren't bringing things like data centers in. Socorro is a beautiful place with tons of outdoor opportunities. I think we should take a look at Farmington, New Mexico, who's become really one of the outdoor capitals of New Mexico in the Four Corners. They do a great job of promoting the outdoor tourism they have there, and they've got a really decent uh, outdoors economy going. There's a bunch of things like that we could build on in Socorro that will give more opportunity and not kill us otherwise.
Yeah. Um, just thinking about like, yeah, the exploitative nature of it all, and like, yeah, that they're kind of like, hey, here's some fucking dust town Socorro, let's put it here,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Also, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would say it's not science fiction to say within, like, let's say we move forward with these data centers, there's a high chance that within one generation, maybe two, the state would turn around and say, there's going to be some governor in the future that's going to be like, I want to outlaw data centers in New Mexico,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a real possibility.
uh, and data centers are like, you let us in, you encouraged us, you gave us economic development money, you know.
Yeah. Well, was it Ohio that outlawed data centers? There was a state recently that actually passed legislation outlawing data centers. And I know cities and counties around the state have done the same thing, and I really don't blame them. Like we take from a uh somebody who does government perspective, not my personal perspective, we take a lot of care in environmental impact studies for certain projects, and we make sure that the environment and other aspects are protected. it doesn't seem like that process is happening with these data centers at all. There's just billions of dollars being dumped into them, and it's full steam ahead. We don't we don't take any of the other normal processes into account with these for some reason. It's weird.
It's almost like there's a misunderstanding amongst some people of like, ooh, we can be the next tech hub in the, but I'm like,
Hmm.
we don't want to be the extractive end of that, right? Like,
No,
because like Silicon Valley is not a bunch of data centers draining the grid and the water system. No,
right.
it's where the smart people live, and
Yeah.
it's where they design shit and build
They're actually
shit.
producing something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Data
Um,
centers don't produce shit. They
no,
they they use, like you said, it's extractive. They use there's very few actual jobs at the data center. There might be some contractors that get like the electrical or flooring contracts or whatever. Great. It's keeping a couple of contractors in business, but we don't it's not an option to keep people employed generationally in a community. Silicon Valley has really turned into that. We've seen the industries that have, and it's tech industry is obviously the umbrella. There's other industries that have kind of spurred out of that. Uber, for example, is a really good example because it was such a disruptive. I think now rideshare is its own industry. It was such a disruptive technology at the time. That's the kind of stuff that I think we want to see. The other thing with these data centers is once they're beyond their useful life, we're going to have a big ass, probably several hundred-acre building sitting out there behind the mountain that's just there. What do you do with it? Who's responsible for cleaning it up? There, like none of those questions have been answered yet. And again, this one in particular is very, very early, but a lot of those questions are out there with centers in general, and it's
yeah, we don't even
it's
know how this is
maddening to
supposed to make.
watch.
Yeah, how are we supposed to make money off of this? I mean, or how is it like? What's the business model other than, like I said, paying for it? And I
Hmm.
actually like on the user end of things, that's where my cognitive dissonance really, really gets bad. Is where I'm like, because I use stuff like Grok and Chat GPT,
Yeah,
and some of the other things to like real like preschool sort of stuff, where I'm like, hey, make an invoice for this, or like, hey, drop a contract that says this, or it's
sure.
more of like getting questions answered. And then of course, I think a post that I posted just today sort of explaining my heartburn with YouTube and where we're trying to put stuff. That image completely AI, and I didn't even try to like fine tune it. I was like,
Hmm.
I think it was Grok where I was like, just make a thing, and it did the trick. But yeah, so I'm a consumer in that sense, and I'm completely like bought into the notion of like, oh, let's just ask AI what, and it's not like I just copy and paste everything from AI, but at least it's a start.
Well, if we want to tie it back to the conspiracy side of things, like we've done
Yeah,
today,
yeah,
I, and I'll say too, I've said this before. I use AI as a tool. I think it can be a very good, useful tool for a lot of things, and it helps me with stuff that I don't necessarily want to do. I hate numbers and working with that kind of stuff, so I use AI a lot to help with those types of things. I used it for to help with my vegetable garden planting this year. It saved me literal days of research. Um, I kind of wonder, like, why can't we kind of live in the current AI ecosystem that we have, and why do we need to build these absolute giant data centers unless they're going to continue hoovering up even more data and making things more intrusive? And that's where things like this new, I don't know if you've seen it, there was an age operating system age verification bill introduced in Congress
hmm.
this week. Basically, when you'd be setting up a new operating system on a phone, on a computer, anything like that, you'd have to verify you're of a certain age to be able to do it. To me, that signals that they're really wanting to usher in more digital ID, and you need giant data centers to be able to control that kind of information. It also worries me that they're building these to kind of bring in the crypto generation of money too, and doing a CBDC, a central banking digital currency. Talk about ways to control people. Uh, I call it a conspiracy theory, but I don't know how really conspiracy it is
I mean,
anymore
well,
when
we're
it's happening.
we're already in a world where if you don't have a digital way to pay, then you can't pay. You could have
Yeah, and a lot of times.
a
Yep.
briefcase full of cash in a lot of places, and that doesn't do you any good if you don't have Cash App or Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever.
Yep, that's true. It's very true. Especially going to bigger cities like Las Vegas now. I just about everything is electronic out there, which is seems crazy for a place like the gambling capital of the world to have nothing but electronic money, but that's really a lot of how it's done now. I mean, you
I would
still have
lose.
like your valets and stuff, but
I mean, what a surefire way to lose all your money than do it all digitally, not actually see it disappearing. Like
oh my God, I know. I can
at
only
least
imagine.
and a friend of mine who who loves to gamble, but on at the sports books around outside of town. But his whole thing is he won't use the gambling apps because he's like, I need
Nope.
to go to the sports book, go to the cashier, and like place my bet
Yeah.
because otherwise it doesn't seem it's fake.
Yeah, it's just all a bunch of stuff moving around on the screen.
Yeah.
You don't know. When I used to actually have money and go to the casino sometimes, I'd play craps and I'd take out like $200 and that was my budget for the night. And if it was
Yeah.
gone, it was gone. There's none of this digital shit where I can just tap my phone and
Yeah.
keep playing.
Jesus.
It's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. And they wonder why Americans don't save money anymore. We make it
Yeah.
we make it way too fucking convenient to spend it.
Uh, I think we're coming up on some time. I mean, we could keep going, but and I don't want to cut us off, but I also wanted to make sure I circle back to again
Hmm.
the whole clusterfuck of finding a place to host that secret sesh. Again, YouTube cut it out and whatever. Lives at Substack now. We'll try to get some links out for that. And just reminder that that's our little Sunday sesh, Sunday afternoon sesh. Can smoke with me and Matt. We'll talk about weed. I don't know if I talked about it on this episode. How frustrated I was that they dinged us for something that is definitely spelled out. I can't be mad because it was. I shouldn't be surprised. It says you can't do this. I personally didn't think that we were promoting anything, the sale of it, but I guess we were by mentioning some companies and that kind of thing. But what irritated me was that like most of that episode was educational, which is what you're allowed to do. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure we do more of that. But talking to your kids about cannabis and telling them this is for mom and dad, it's not for kids. Locking it
Hmm.
up. We had so much of the educational talk in that, and yet YouTube still it's a fucking robot. It's an
It's,
algorithm, so it's like does not compute.
it's the censorship industrial
Yeah, yeah,
machine. It's, watch a little Mike Benz and he'll tell you exactly how all of it works. It's crazy. But I look, cannabis might still be a Schedule One drug, and it's supposedly getting rescheduled to three. And I've heard talk of a potential task force to look at descheduling, which would be amazing. Uh, but it's so mainstream now that why why in the hell are these platforms still censoring it? Especially when I can go on places like Facebook and Instagram and literally buy something that they call hemp, but it's we all know it's regular cannabis flower that they're selling. Literally, you can buy flower and have it delivered to your door. And I bet you if I took it and tested it, it would actually be a piece of regular cannabis flower. Um, so why are these platforms still censoring? Usually they're led by their wallets. There's got to be something deeper driving this because usually they're led by their wallets, and all the wallets are pointing to cannabis being just a gigantic moneymaker for literally everybody outside of the cannabis industry involved right now. Um, Advertising is the next great moneymaker in cannabis, I think, because it's so restricted right now. So the first platform to completely get rid of those rules and those issues, I think, is going to be the winner. X is already saying that they're going to do it. I haven't seen any cannabis ads yet, but let's see what happens there.
I think the other thing too is, and X could be the that contender because of this, but the same reason that people have a hard time competing with YouTube and Twitter or X is that it's the user friendly, the usability of it, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
like I checked out Blue Sky just to see what it was all about, and it just didn't seem to have that thing that other
yeah,
platforms have. And you can go to other video platforms; they're just not quite the same. Like right, so it's not doesn't make me happy to say we've moved things to Substack. But by the way, I use Substack for other stuff, and it's actually a pretty cool site.
hmm
But of course, it doesn't have that same sort of like easy usability that YouTube does, where you can have the app on your phone and you just play it. On my phone, I can play a YouTube video, turn off the screen, and it just runs like it's a regular podcast. That might be because
yeah, exactly.
maybe because I have the premium or something, but it's still
I
the
do the same thing. Yeah,
capabilities there, right? And
yep.
I'm not sure that Substack is I could be wrong. Anyway, so that's always going to be the challenge is like to give people more freedom and liberty in what they're posting, but at the same time make it a user friendly thing. Even Rumble, right? Like they have some ways to go to update their app and make it
hmm
easier to watch videos on the mobile and all that other stuff. Actually, I don't even know about the app. I should take that back. Maybe their app is super awesome. I've never downloaded it, but
Honestly, there shouldn't be a reason that apps aren't super awesome anymore just because of AI. Like you could vibe code some really cool stuff in minutes, literally. And with people out there who already have development experience using AI tools, there's no reason companies shouldn't have just absolutely killer apps
I
anymore.
mean, I the other thing we use it for is the clips. All the clips that people are
True.
liking out there are all done with AI. Well, I mean, not complete with AI. I have some hands-on touches to it, but on that note too, appreciate everybody liking the clips, sharing them. It's fucking
Very
awesome.
much. Yes.
We
Thank
have
you for your
actually
support.
a growing group of folks who are actually following us on socials. Just remind everybody what really helps us out is go subscribe, like the YouTube videos, the longer videos, the one we're doing here. And actually, while you're at it, drop a comment and let us know who we should have on. You got guest ideas, or maybe you want to be on. Let us know. Drop us a comment. Tell
And
us
I'm
what you think.
always down to argue with people in the comments too. So come at me,
There
people.
you go. There
Well,
you go. Yeah.
let's talk.
All right. All right. Um,
Come on, chat.
that's actually a perfect way to end. Actually, a better way to end, as I realize now, this is coming out on 4/19.
Yeah. Holy
So
crap.
I think either we got the dates wrong or maybe the date changed, but well, you can go back and look at old episodes. But realize about to say something that'll get us in trouble again. But I think Matt, you and I will be at the same place on 4/19. I'm thinking,
I think so.
and then 4/20, you're going to be in El Paso, right?
Honestly, I haven't figured it out yet. There's a lot of stuff going on. Veronica's kind of got the whole southern part of the state covered, so I may actually visit some more local stuff, either Belen, Los Lunas, and Albuquerque, or I don't know. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what the day brings. Either way, I'm gonna be smoking a lot of weed.
Maybe we should. That's another thing folks can do in the comment is create that community exchange. If you know of something that's going on, we can't say it on here because we're promoting illegal activities or whatever the fuck bullshit they're talking about. Drop in the comment where you're going to be, um, and maybe
Also, check out at NM Cannabis 2 on Instagram. I'm especially in the stories, I'm posting up as many events as I can. Mostly there are members, but there's so much going on that it almost all overlaps. So
I'll
check
I'll
out at NM Cannabis 2.
I'll pin some of the clips on our Instagram page to previous
Nice.
conversations where we said the naughty words. But with that, happy 4/20 everybody, because I guess that'll be
Happy 420.
tomorrow. To those who celebrate, and we'll see you on 7/10. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Matt. Thank you, Matt
Thank you,
Kennicott,
Senor.
Andy Lyman, Special Sesh. Don't forget to subscribe to the Secret Sesh. Bye, everybody.